Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Check. 1, 2. Testing. Testing. Asparagus.
Okay.
Testing.
Okay. Okay.
Testing.
Okay.
Testing. Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello everybody, and welcome to Henry's Kitchen, where today we're going to be making the authentic Canadian butter tart. As you can see, I'm not in my normal kitchen right now. I'm actually in a different kitchen in a foreign country called Canada.
Okay.
Thanks Haxry62. As part of a kitchen exchange program. So I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm dealing with a lot of things that are different, and as you get older, doing things differently gets challenging. Brewer Fanks, thanks.
Okay.
Kiroshe, and also want to say thank you to someone named Reziel's Lament. Sorry, it's going very fast. Blurry Little Quest. Okay. We have a lot of work to do, and I can't guarantee that it's going to go correctly, but I will put everything that I have into this. I've always liked to live by the rule that anything that's worth doing is difficult. And today what we're going to be making is the authentic Canadian butter tart. Just to give you a little bit of background information, the authentic Canadian butter tart was common in pioneer Canadian cooking and remains a characteristic pastry of Canada, considered a recipe of genuinely Canadian origin. It's an integral part of the Central Canadian cuisine And the Canadian butter tart is an object of cultural pride in and across Canada. This cultural and community connection with the Canadian butter tart has spawned Canadian butter tart themed tourism, such as the Canadian Butter Tart Festival in Muskoka Lakes, Ontario, the trademarked Canadian Butter Tart Trail at Wellington North, Ontario. The production of the Canadian butter tart in Canada slowed after a flood in Quebec in April 2019, striking a major production center. And again, this is something that Canadians take a lot of cultural pride and heritage in. So I'm going to try to get this right. I don't want to insult anybody. And I know that this is a very popular dish here, and a lot of people know how to do it. Are there any Canadian people here that are watching? Maybe we can. Big Robbie says, "I live in New Jersey. Can I substitute Canada for USA?" I'm not sure you can, actually. I think this is a strictly Canadian dish. Super Radish says, "Yes, I'm Canadian." Oh, that's the oven, which gives a nice little signal when it's done preheating. I've got it preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And, you know, even though I'm in a foreign country and I'm in a different kitchen, we're still going to get through this. I've got my guitar, and there's a couple of requests that we've had from some people about songs. So, we're going to need to do some songs because this is going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes. And thanks to all the folks subscribing out there. Mr. Random... Oh, it disappeared for some reason. Oh. Goku Debexiniverse, thank you. Ari Cake 7, Canrum, JPEG Q404A, BZ Kaiser, Mr. Random Knees, Hacklin, Dreamlin, Lady Nori, and Anonymous. Thanks, Anonymous, and Actus Theory. So anyway, we've got a lot of work to do, so let's start by going through our ingredients. I'm just going to tilt this down here so that you can see what we have. We've got 1 egg, as you can see. I've got some raisins. This is some flour and granulated sucre granule, which is a French-Canadian way to say granulated sugar. Now this recipe uses brown sugar, but the Canadian way is to make your own brown sugar using some molasses, as well as we've got some table salt, some vanilla in a nice bottle, so we're not going to accidentally use food coloring like we did last time, and this, yeah, molasses, and then some corn syrup, and I think that's just about it. I also have one of these. And then this. I actually don't know what this is. I don't think that's part of it, actually. That was here. But we'll find out. But I'll put this aside. And let's go ahead and get started. The first order of business. Beelzebub says, how are we going to do a death check on roast beef? So my cat Roast Beef is very far away from me, and this has been kind of a difficult time. I have a little bit of separation anxiety happening. But I have a friend who's checking in on Roast Beef, and I requested to have some video updates. So I'll show you the video that was sent to me. It's a little grainy and a little bit askew, and Roast Beef looks a little bit out of sorts, probably because I'm not there, but This is the footage that I got. So you can see he's just sort of out of sorts and a little bit confused. I hope he gets through okay, but we know that he is alive and walking around. Okay, so here we go. Instruction number 1, and if you're working at home, hopefully you've got all your ingredients in front of you, and let's just get right into it. We're going to pulse the cold butter. Oh, I see. Okay, the butter, we need butter also. And we're supposed to cut it into cubes, so let's go ahead and start with that. I'm going to use a cutting board.
Okay.
And Ani Brand, thanks for subscribing. Hopefully you can see the cutting board here. We also have another camera that we'll be using for various purposes, but hopefully you can see that okay. Let's grab some butter. And this is unsalted butter, and we're going to chop this into cubes. It's always a little difficult when you're at somebody else's kitchen to try to do things correctly, but that's part of the challenge of life. If you keep trying to do everything in your comfort zone, you're going to eventually run into problems, because the only thing that's real is change. Okay, so we're going to cut this up into cubes. So what I'll do is I'll do one straight across.
Okay.
And then I'll do another one straight across this way. And then you want to cut each individual one in a similar fashion. This butter's cutting very nicely. I'm using a butter knife, which is appropriate. You know, I was reading some statistics about Canada, and I don't know if you guys know that I don't know if it's number 10, but it's certainly in the top 10 forms of death among middle-aged Canadian men is falling off a boat while trying to urinate. And I'm sure that the health department is trying to get a crackdown on that. I'm sure there's some kind of alcohol involved. But that's a real statistic, and you can look it up. It was on Wikipedia, which is generally true unless it's something recent, but it needs to get reviewed. Okay, so there's our cubes. We're going to put the butter and shortening and flour and sugar using a food processor. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. I've got a food processor behind me, but we're going to go ahead and use this angle. This thing is a little unfamiliar to me. There it goes. Let me go back to this. Alright, so we're just going to fill this up with our ingredients, starting with our butter cubes. And we're going to add to that, okay, so we want the butter and the shortening. So we have some shortening here. That's something I forgot to mention. Oh boy. I'm not actually sure what shortening is, but it looks to me a lot like butter. But what we want of butter, for shortening, we want half a cup. Very cold. And this cut into cubes as well. So let me get my cutting board. Sorry about this, guys. I should have done the cutting ahead of time for the purposes of, but we're going to take about a half a cup there of shortening. And we're going to cut it in a likewise fashion from what we did before, where we're doing it into cubes. So you do four cubes, and then you cut the 4 cubes into 4 cubes, and then you should be good. Getting a little sloppy here, I guess, because I kind of am worried that I'm boring people with this. So let me just get this part started. So here's our shortening. There you have it. Okay, next up we have our, we're going to put cold butter and shortening into the flour and sugar. So we need 2 1/4 cups flour. So I'm going to take our flour here and grab a cup. I'm going to need a measuring cup, just somewhere. I think I could probably use, I mean, this is a cup, right? I'm not gonna, it's not an official cup, but I think I could probably use a Starbucks cup. And I think that this one is 12 ounces. So I think half of that would be 1 cup. So we're gonna fill our 12-ounce Starbucks cup into half full, like so. We're gonna put that into our food processor. Next up we need our brown sugar, which we're going to actually make. So to make brown sugar the way they do in Canada is that you get a, you need some kind of a plate. You can use this. This is nice. And the amount that we need is 1 tablespoon. So that's not very much. And I believe this is 1 tablespoon. So we're going to get 1 tablespoon of our sucre. And we're going to pour it out on our plate. And we're going to add molasses. I'm not sure exactly how much molasses you need in proportion, but I'm going to sort of eyeball it. Very difficult to take this thing off for some reason. And here we go. It's not pouring out yet.
Okay.
I poured it a little too close to this thing in the middle. Boy, it really doesn't want to come out there. Son of a gun. It's literally like I can tell there's some in there. Oh, you can see it coming out a little bit there. So this is how they make brown sugar. There's a lot of insects up here, I've noticed, and my theory on insects is that if you're eating food and the insects aren't trying to eat what you're eating, then chances are you're doing it wrong. Okay, so now we're just going to stir this up. It's not so much like sugar as it is like more like molasses with some sugar in it. But let's just try to get... The molasses isn't really behaving very smoothly, so... Okay, so this is going to be our brown sugar, basically. I'm just going to grab it like so. Put it in here. And the next thing we are going to do is add a little bit of salt. So this is easy. I've got one of these things which grinds the salt. And I'm just going to do the salt to taste for now. Alright, it's time. I've got some sticky fingers here, but it's time to go to our food processor and make our syrup mixture. So take a quick break here and see if we have any questions. Is this a Gordon Ramsay recipe? Was asked by Minnie Marrow 1999. Sorry, it's hard to read that for some reason, but no. And I've talked about Gordon Ramsay. Lord Dick something or other. Let's see here. It's just sort of general technical issues that I'll read a question and then it goes up so fast. But my take on the Gordon Ramsay situation is just, you know, I saw him making, I think it was the creme brulee, or it was the souffle, and he did a lot of things wrong. You know, he didn't have the sort of puffy consistency, and I think the guy's just sort of one of these blowhards or whatever. But I don't want to start a beef with him. That's the last thing I want to do because he's very popular. But okay, so here we go. We're going to go to our set this down here, and we're going to put the lid on it like so. Should be all locked up. We want to pick a power setting, and let's call it pulsing. This one on the right makes it go for a long time and then pulsing. Not sure why I'm getting an... Sorry about that. I was playing the audio from my Twitch here, so you know. Thanks for bearing with me here. This is a particularly difficult situation because I have an unfamiliar territory, and I don't do well with that, but I'm going to do the best I can. Let's grab a bowl, a mixing bowl. And what we're going to do, we're going to take this bowl and we're going to put in the batter that we just made. So what we want to do is unhook. How the fuck do you do this thing? Okay. If you don't have a food processor, I would recommend just doing it by hand. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of wishing I did because this has a lot of moving parts to it that I'm not familiar with. Like, I need to get what's in there out of this, and I don't know quite how to do it. maybe I'll just use a spoon. No. What's this? Like I literally have no idea how to get this out. Is it a twisting thing? Okay. It's not gonna work. Okay, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna figure this out. It doesn't twist. Does anybody use one of these things? I don't want to break it. Hold on. I'm going to do a real quick check here. Oh, there it is. You pull this out. Okay. Got it. Now, where's our bowl? Okay. So we're going to basically just scoop our batter into the bowl. So you can already see where we're going with this. We're going to be formulating these into tarts. There's a very sharp blade in there, and you want to do your best to make sure that you do not touch that with your hands. That will take off a finger or something. Okay. Yeah, I definitely, if I could go back in time, I would have done this by hand. I would have done a lot of things differently, but that's certainly one thing that I would have done. If you're following at home, I can't help you in terms of your own food processor, but generally they come with a manual, or if you can't find the manual, you can go online and put in the serial number of your unit, and then it should tell you how to do it. I think we lost a lot of time there trying to get this thing off, but anyway, that's over. I think we're done with the food processor at this point. I'm going to now see what our next thing is. Okay, so this was all just this was just step number 1. So we're on step 2 now. We're going to sprinkle water over the surface, and we're going to toss with a fork until the water is incorporated into the dough. Oh, that's right. We also need some water. So we don't want to overwork the dough. Handle it only enough so that the dough stays together. So I'm gonna get a better camera angle on this here so that you can see it better. Let's see here. I don't know. There we go. Get a little bit of water. So I'm going to pour the water over the top. I'm going to start formulating it. had this issue before. Hold on. Sorry, this is turning into a little bit of an issue. Okay, ideally this is supposed to look a little bit like a pie crust, and it doesn't. But what I'm dealing with is that the consistency of it is such that it's getting all over my hands, and it's hard for me to switch cameras because I don't want to get batter all over everything. So seriously guys, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna try to get this thing in the oven very soon. I'm gonna skip right ahead here. Gonna add more flour. I think that might do the trick. Let me get another spoon. No one ever said cooking was easy, and no one ever said it was fun. But you know what? If cooking was easy or fun, then they wouldn't really call it cooking then, would they? They would call it something fun. Okay, so I added a little bit more flour, and that seemed to help. I don't know. Having a little bit of a problem. It's just sticking. Just gonna grab a big bunch of flour here. Start doing it that way. Oh yeah, this is better. So I don't think I used enough flour, but it seems to be working now. So if you're out there and if your thing isn't coming out the way that you'd like it to, try adding more flour. And that's not just advice for if you're doing Canadian tarts, but pretty much anything that you're doing in life. Okay, yeah, now this is finally starting to behave. This is supposed to look like a pie crust, and it's starting to look that way. So that is good. All right. Okay. So let's move on to the next step here. We have handle the dough so it stays together. Next, we are going to form the dough into 2 rounds about an inch thick. Roll out onto a lightly floured surface, and then we're going to cut into rounds with a 1-inch cutter. Fit into muffin cups. You know what? We're going to put these into muffin cups right now. Hold on a second. Let's see, I have to find the muffin thing. I'm going to try to find the muffin cups. Meanwhile, maybe this would be a good time to check in and look at our footage of roast beef. Okay. By the way, if anybody wants to see what we're going to be ending up with here, this is the authentic Canadian butter tart. That's what we're doing. So believe it or not, it's been a little rough so far, and I appreciate everybody going along with what's kind of a difficult situation here. But we're going to start putting these into muffin tin. So we're going to layer the bottoms of these with our muffin stuff. We basically just want to get an even amount into each one of these. So I add a little bit more. So now hopefully you're able to see a little bit how this is finally going to shape up. I'm going to just sort of pat these down so that they're flat. I'd probably say that this is one of the more difficult dishes that I've ever had to make. Maybe next to making cheesecake for one. Okay, so there's that. Let's grab okay, the good news here is that we're basically done. We're basically done with the dough, and I think that's what was sort of slowing us down. But we did it well, and we're on to the next step here, which is to prepare the filling. Okay, so we're going to move this out of the way and set it aside. As a matter of fact, I think we're supposed to actually put this in the fridge for a little bit. So let's do that. And meanwhile, let's prepare our filling. Let's see what we're up against here, everyone. To make the filling, we're going to combine all the filling ingredients except for the raisins. So for the filling, we have a half a cup of lightly packed brown sugar, which I still have some somewhere. Oh yeah. We still have our homemade brown sugar here, which is a little bit more like just molasses, and it hardens really quick. But anyway, that's going to be our brown sugar, and we're going to use that along in conjunction with some corn syrup, half a cup of corn syrup, 1/4 of a cup of butter, and 1 egg, vanilla extract. Okay, so we're going to put all this stuff into a bowl. It says combine all the filling ingredients. So I'm going to grab, I have another bowl here, and we're going to very simply start adding ingredients. So we've got our 1 egg. I want to say that I appreciate all the people that are subscribing. I like to normally call it out and thank you individually, but this dish is just too damn hard and I have to focus. But I am going to be thanking everybody in a little bit here. 1 tablespoon. Okay, so we have 1 egg. We want our vanilla extract, and it doesn't say how much, but we're just going to add a little bit. I was expecting that to be a dark color, but that's okay. Vanilla extract, we want a little bit of our salt, and we want some more butter, which I have here. We want a 1/4 cup, so it's actually a significant amount. And then we want to also add corn syrup, half a cup of corn syrup. I'm using a Starbucks cup because I know that this is a 12-ounce Starbucks cup, which I think is called a like a grande or something. But 1 cup is 6 ounces, so all I have to do is fill that up halfway, and that's how that works. You can hear some kids playing next door. Maybe I'll go see if the kids want to have some of my Canadian butter tarts when I'm done. There we go. That's weird stuff there. That's half a cup of corn syrup. I think I was only supposed to do a half a cup, and I might have put a little too much, but that's okay. Next up, we have our, for the filling, we've got the 1 egg, butter, corn syrup, our brown sugar. This again is homemade. If you're just joining us, the way they make brown sugar in Canada is that you pour molasses over regular white sugar and mix it. I think you're supposed to maybe heat the molasses or something so it doesn't freeze up on you. So, but we're getting it all in there, and it's going to be fine. And let's see, we've got our brown sugar, corn syrup, butter, 1 egg, vanilla, salt, and we're not doing our raisins just yet, but now we're going to stir it up. So let's see what you guys are saying. Why that plate have a handle? That's sick. Oh, somebody's talking about this plate. I think that this is what the Canadians use to serve Canadian butter tarts. It's a handle plate, which is pretty cool. More on that later. So this is stirring up nicely. This is going to be our filling. And I think I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. I'm going to switch to a fork for our... Okay. Somebody asked if I'm sure if this was butter and not shortening. I don't know exactly what shortening is, although it does look a hell of a lot like butter. I don't see my butter, so you know what, I might have done butter by accident, but shortening and butter seem to be the same thing. I'm actually going to put this in the microwave just for a little bit and melt it because it doesn't seem to be cooperating. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll put it in there for about 1 minute. And for the person who asked about the plate, let's see. You know what, we're just going to go ahead and do it this way. For the person who asked about the plate, I'm going to tell you right now that this is the serving plate. It's a Canadian tart serving plate, so you can walk around and have your tarts on here. So there's children in the neighborhood, so I'm probably going to ask them if they want to have some of my Canadian tarts afterward. You know, I'm going to switch to another bowl here because apparently the bowl that I was using was not microwave friendly. So we're going to pour it into another bowl. This is our filling, guys. And we're going to put this in the microwave here. And again, I'm going to put it in there for about 1 minute. I think we might have averted a little bit of a crisis here. Wow, this dish is exhausting, so I want to thank everybody for sort of bearing with me in this foreign environment. It's not easy. Hey Henry, I skipped a few steps because they didn't seem important, and then it went really fast, so I didn't see the rest. Yeah, no. If it seems like some of the steps that they seem redundant, or if they're whatever, then don't do them. Nobody's going to fault you for that. Most of the time, you're just cooking for your own food anyway. So it's you that's going to be eating it. In this case, when I'm done with this, I think I'm going to take it to the kids that I hear out there on the serving plate. Okay. It's very hot, but it's certainly working. Alright, yeah, the butter is all melted, or whatever it is, shortening. So this is finally starting to take on the form of the butter tart. You can see why they call it a butter tart, or I guess this is more of a shortening tart. But I believe butter and shortening, from what I can tell, are basically the same thing. So, the next step here is that we are going to bake. So, okay. Sprinkle with raisins. I don't know. I'm going to start using our raisins. I have some Sun-made raisins here that come in a little box. I'm going to open this. Boy, they make these things really difficult, don't they? Oh, it all fell out. Okay. These raisins don't want to come out of the box. Everything seems to be a little bit of a chore today. Can't just sort of happen easily, unfortunately. I'm going to use 2 boxes of raisins. This one's all covered with shit. Okay. The raisins are all stuck in the box. It's like almost impossible to get them out. Okay, there we go. Enough of that. Let's go ahead and find our fork. I don't know what happened to it, but oh, it's in the... So let's stir this up, and we are just about ready to go to the next step, which is to get our tarts. And we've got these have been cooling in the refrigerator. And according to our instructions here, it says that we will now be sprinkling raisins in a single layer in the bottom of the pastry-lined muffin cups. Fill full with the syrup mixture, and we're going to bake it on the bottom shelf. So, alright, this seems easy enough. Again, this is what we're going for, and this is what we've got. So, I've got these muffin things. There's supposed to be a bottom layer of raisins, so unfortunately I'm going to have to do the raisins again. But these are very difficult to get out of the fucking box. So, okay, we're going to start with a fine layer of raisins. The raisins are really kind of the, maybe not the star of the show. The butter would be the star of the show, but there's certainly the featured performer or whatever. Push it through the other side. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to cover it up with our syrup mixture, which I have here. It's already starting to look delicious. I'm going to fill up these muffin tins. And we're going to put these in the oven. There's a lot of extra raisins here. That's okay. Okay, so I have a preheated oven. It's currently preheated at 350 degrees. Thanks, Dr. Ruthers 24. We're going to put our Canadian butter tarts in the oven. If you're just joining us, we've made a pastry to line the bottom of the muffin tin, and then we've added some syrup mixture, which is mostly our butter and raisins. So let's go ahead and put this in the oven, which is all ready to go. Now we can take a little break. I'm going to set a timer. I don't have my Alexa, but hey Siri. No, that's not working, unfortunately. But we're going to set a time. Well, let's just say right now it's 1:51 p.m. So we're going to have about 15 or 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to try to get to some of your questions here because I feel like I haven't been able to really see what's going on. Hide White 2 says my mouth is watering and I just had a big meal. Yeah, these are going to test your patience. Everyone type Forson says I put a metal bowl in the microwave like you, but now these sparks coming out. Is that normal, Henry? Yeah, no, you don't want to put metal in there apparently, which I didn't realize. All right, well, let's go ahead and do some music here. I want to say some thank yous. Dr. Ruthers 24, Fabled Foe. Oh, and then it disappeared for some reason. Oh, Fabled Foe, Packets Inc., Senor Fool, Fallen Ring, It Was Me, Okiaj, Tea Time, Cocaine Dawkins, Jesse has gifted a lot of subs, Potato Cat Breeder, Beelzebub, Brewer Fan X, Jenna Seidel, Minimers 1999, Anon Brand, Super Radish, Franz Schubert, and the Luge, Actus Theory, Goku, D-Bex Universe, RE Cake 7, Can Rum, JPEG, Hacklin, Mr. Random Knees, and I think we're back where we were there. Dreamland and Lady Nori, Blurry Little Quest, Karachi, Brewer Fan X, Haxfree 62, Spuds, Mackenzie. A lot of people subscribing, so I really appreciate that, and I apologize not only for this, but also the couple of the last recipes haven't been going that well. The Twitch thing is still very new to me, and I'm doing the best that I can. Let's go ahead and do some music. Let me know if you have any requests. I'm using a foreign guitar here, but help me make it through the night, 'cause I am tired and alone. might be fun is if I can switch to a couple of other views while I'm doing this. Help me make it through the night, 'cause I don't like myself anymore. I guess I'm just not interesting. I have no personality. I met a guy with cancer and he felt sorry for me. I'm always coming in last place and getting dirt kicked in my face, and I guess that's just the way it's meant to be. Help me make it through the night, 'cause I don't like myself anymore. It's a little Jose Suicidio for you there. I'm going to see if I can find some songs that people might have a request for.
Okay.
Thanks, Churu. Let's see here. Well, somebody on my Discord requested this song from Johnny Cash. If it comes up. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of internet trouble here today. But it goes a little something like, love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring, bound by wild desire. I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Gotta scroll. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, burns, burns. That ring of fire, that ring of fire. So that was for somebody on the Discord, and I don't know what the name was, so I apologize about that. Let's see. Song about making onion rings, somebody said. I'm not sure what it's about exactly. I'm looking at a couple of other requests here. Somebody requested this song that I wrote a long time ago. I'm going to try to get through it. I don't really know if I remember all the lyrics for it, but it's something like this. Thanks, Yendi. I just got a letter in the mail saying that I failed to pay my credit card in time, and that's a $40 fine, which would have been okay, except the fact that it caused me to exceed my credit line, and that's a $40 fine. Then I got a letter in the mail saying that the balance due was drawn from my checking account, which caused a bunch of checks to bounce, which would have been okay, except for that one of those checks was to the DMV for my registration fee. So the next day I was on my way to work, and I couldn't find my car. It wasn't where I parked it just the day before, and I got another piece of mail. This one said the registration tags were out of date, so they had to tow my car away, which wasn't quite okay. I called them to explain, and when I finally got through, they just made me wait on hold. After 40 minutes I hung up because I had to go to work, but then I realized if I don't have my car, then how the fuck am I gonna get to work? So I just bothering. So here I am, living in a box underneath the bridge in this quiet little town, and I take a look around, which isn't quite okay. I don't get any mail, but the best part of it is that I don't get any mail. Sorry, I messed up the lyrics at the end there. I'm kind of hoping that our dish is coming along here. I want to take this opportunity to thank a lot of people, but it's going to be tough because I'm trying to do it from memory, and usually I read it, but ever since I started here on Twitch, I've had a lot of help from a lot of cool people. I want to start with the moderators: Dingo Bop, Fawcan, Do Dingle, Dr. Flanges, Dagoggy, Hottest Bear, and so many other people. I'm sorry if I missed anybody there, but the moderators are really great, and I appreciate all the work that they're doing. And I also want to thank Sir Doom and Bumblevision and the LGX. These are streamers that have given me some technical advice here and there. And I also am very thankful to Quanto, Quanto, who did this, so that when I go from one scene to another, we get the authentic Henry's Kitchen transitions. And so thanks to Quanto for all that help. I also always want to thank Nim, because Nim is the one who got me started on here back in December when I taught him how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'm happy to announce that I'm going to add a Thursday night where I'm going to be doing some games and doing some song requests and other fun things with other streamers. So we're going to collaborate, and it's definitely seems to be in the works that Nim and I are going to play some kind of game on an upcoming Thursday night. So I'm going to keep you posted on that. You know, this cooking thing is really what I do well. So I'm going to keep doing that on Wednesdays and Sundays. Also wanted to give a shout out to all the people on the Discord who have been posting pictures of their food and also fan art, and posting recipe suggestions, music suggestions. I'm really overwhelmed, and I really appreciate that. Also want to thank some of these other streamers who've been really cool about showing my videos. Forsen, XQC, there's Moon and Amaru more recently, and all these people. You know, I'm a cooking explainer. That's what I do, and I've studied it for years, not in any kind of school, but on YouTube. And it's just one of those callings. You know, sometimes you realize that there's something that you can do that other people can't do, and it's sort of your duty to share it with the world, and that's what I'm doing. And the people who are watching, I couldn't appreciate it more. And boy, these comments are going so fast, it's hard for me to see any of them, but I'd like to be a little better at answering your questions. Let's see here. Yeah, they're just going by at lightning speed, so that's you know, something I'm gonna try to work on. I'm also not on my own system. I'm on a laptop, which is making it a little bit more difficult. Here's a couple questions. Hacklin says, my raisins are not in boxes. Should I give up cooking and work at McDonald's? No, you never want to give up. If your raisins aren't in boxes, that might actually be a good thing, because as you can see, it was very difficult for me to get my raisins out of those damn boxes. Jade Cup Maid Hands, why are you crying?
Okay.
I'm not crying. I'm sad, but I'm definitely not crying yet. Speaking of raisins, shouldn't you have used Canadian raisins instead of California? I don't know what kind of raisins that I had. These were actually in the cupboard of the kitchen that I was that was so generously donated to me for this stream. So maybe they like California raisins. I'm not sure. Morning Sheep says, I've always heard people say baking is a science and cooking is to taste. Is this true, or are those people full of shit? Okay, so Morning Sheep, that's a great question. There's some people that just know how to do it. And I don't know if you know these people. Some people can just say, oh, this is the amount of salt that I'm using, and then it's the perfect amount of salt. They don't have to, like, I'm a measuring guy, so I like to use the measuring cups, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I like to make sure it's pretty much there. Today I've been deviating from that a little bit. I am very experienced in cooking, so I can sort of guesstimate sometimes, like I did with the butter, which actually turned out to be shortening, I guess. But, you know, like my grandmother was terrible at cooking. You know, one time she was babysitting us kids, and we were playing with Play-Doh, and she tried to make cookies out of the Play-Doh. And I remember my brother and I were like, you know, you eat them first, and she ate them, and she was like, these are terrible. And it's like, yeah, of course. These are just sort of fond memories that come back to you sometimes. Baja Balstead, do you know when you will have more aprons for sale? Yeah, the aprons, I always have them for the holidays. If you join the Patreon, that's sort of a hack where you can get an apron. But the materials are difficult to come by, but there'll be aprons. Also, Croto Baggins says, I want to make my girlfriend a meal, but the only thing I know how to make is cereal. Any recommendations on a meal or where to start? Yeah, I would start by making her cereal. Maybe you could get a fancy cereal, you know, like a All Brand or Fiber One or one of those things. But I would say the easiest next step up from that would probably be oatmeal. And that's warm, and you could put a little milk in there, and maybe she'll appreciate that you've stepped up your game a little bit. Henry Philippoulos says, when am I going to have a late night stream for Australian fans? Well, let's see. This is probably going to be, I don't know, about 8 or 9 o'clock p.m. So I don't know what time that is for you guys, but hopefully you won't have to be waking up too early. Does anybody remember what time it was when I put the stuff in the oven? Because it's starting to occur to me that I don't really remember what that was. Hen Freak Master Fasalum says, what is the most eloquent meal I have made? Wow, the most eloquent meal. That's a tough one to try to figure out what would be an eloquent meal. I guess it's probably one of the more French named ones. The souffle or maybe the brulee. I made a brulee not too long ago. Brulee means burned, but it didn't start as a brulee. It just sort of ended up that way. A meal that speaks well. Yeah, French fries. Waffles brulee. Yeah, that's what it was. Zodbane. Thank you. Hideway 2 says, can we substitute microwave with a hairdryer? I've actually used a hairdryer to heat things, and there's really nothing wrong with that. They're just devices that heat, and probably could have used that here. Beelzebub says, Henry, can you clarify the kitchen exchange for everyone type Forsen is like a wife swap situation? Like someone is in your kitchen making an American dish. Oh, yeah. Let's think about that here. okay, so I'm on a kitchen exchange program. That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody in my kitchen is currently streaming from my kitchen. It's more of a promise to eventually donate my kitchen to someone when they need it, and they don't necessarily have to be a streamer. Spellsling says, could I cook the tarts completely in the microwave? I suppose you could, but you're not going to get that sort of burned thing. Parastosis says, have you ever gotten into canning your food?
Okay.
No, but I did make meal packs that I put in my refrigerator one time. I think there's a YouTube video for that. But canning, that sounds like a good idea. Turf or No says, I don't have good tap water. Can we substitute it with Diet Cola or sparkling water? I suppose you could, but remember, tap water has all kinds of ingredients in it, like bromine and chlorine and iodine and all these different things that help the texture of your pastries. Hennis Nazer says, I put ketchup on my yogurt sticks. Any ideas of cool things I can cook? Put ketchup on my yogurt sticks. Ideas of cool things I could cook. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you mean with the yogurt sticks. I think you could probably, I don't know what a yogurt stick is. I'm having a hard time answering that one. I want to be helpful though. A yogurt stick is probably a frozen stick of yogurt. You put ketchup on it. What can you make out of that? Well, you could probably put that into a cake. Okay, so it looks like Mushy Tail says they've been in for 20 minutes, so it's time to get these. I have a oven mitt, which we're going to be definitely needing, and let's see what we got. Okay, let's see if we can get a shot of this. You know what? I'm going to say these didn't come out half bad. The next thing that we're going to have to do is we will need to be taking these out and putting them on our little dish. So let's move some of this. I've made an incredible mess here. And if you ever are working out of somebody else's kitchen, the polite thing to do is to clean up every bit of mess that you made. I unfortunately will not be able to do that in this case because I have to run and catch a plane. So I feel bad about that. But let's go ahead and... Thank you, Scarecrow Killer. This is still very hot, but let's go ahead and start taking them out and putting them on. This is the authentic Canadian butter tart. Uh-oh, that one looks like it wants to misbehave. And the camera's misbehaving as well. So, I'm going to have to do a little... Jeez, it's kind of falling down. Let me see if I can try this other camera situation. I want to make sure we get this right. No, I don't like that. Okay. That's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting these on our... Might want to let them cool just a little bit. Maybe they'll harden. But you know, we don't have time for that, so we're going to just take them and put them out. I'm going to grab this thing. Let's put this here. Okay, look, these aren't going to stay together, and that's okay. But what we're looking at is an item that contains all the ingredients of the official Canadian butter tart. Maybe they're not pretty, but I can smell the molasses in there, and I can smell the raisins, and this is going to be delicious, you guys. We did everything according to the official ingredients. I wish they would have stayed together, but I don't really care at this point. We did it. We came, we conquered, however that expression goes. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty nice. They're very hot, but I will be eating this for sure. Sorry, I want to get it into the camera a little bit there. So, okay. So we've got our handle situation thing. This is what we have. This is the authentic Canadian butter tart. They didn't stay together, but I think that's because I'm supposed to put them in the fridge or something to cool, but we just simply don't have that kind of time. Let's go with, to take a look at what we were going for. Obviously, as you can see, those are much tighter, but it's still basically the same thing. And now for the fun part, to take our Canadian butter tarts and to go ahead and bite into them. Capid Stunt says, are those French Canadian? I'm not sure if the Canadian butter tart includes French Canada as well. Maybe some of our Canadian friends from across the pond can answer that. Demo2 says, will you give these to the kids outside? Yes. I heard some kids outside playing, so probably after these cool down, I'm going to go ahead and take these out and see if they want to try some of my my butter tarts. Well, it's very gooey. It's kind of oily. There's not really a lot of sweet flavor to it. I gotta say, you know, the Canadians eat some weird shit from what I can tell based on this dish. But they make some great music. Udful14 says, got to remember a lot of those photos on the internet are photoshopped. That's true. So it's not really a completely fair comparison to judge how yours looks compared to what the professional photographers have. They're doing all kinds of movie magic with those. A lot of comments coming in pretty quick here. Dolantrom says, before I add the dough to the pan, do I have to grease the bowl with lotion or WD-40 to stop them from sticking? Probably a good idea, because these stuck a little bit, but not too bad. Can you show us above the cabinets? Want to get a better view of the room. That's Miss Buttersworth 420. above the cabinets. I don't know. That seems like a kind of a creepy question to ask. But maybe this is a house that you've been in before. I'm not sure. Crithm Dev, am I burning? If I'm burning alive, can I still enjoy a Canadian butter tart? I don't think there's any circumstance where you wouldn't be able to enjoy something like this. Although I would like it to be a little sweeter. Maybe I could have used some more raisins, or like somebody suggested, Canadian raisins instead of the California ones. But I'm going to call this one a success. And the most important reason is that Beelzebub gifted subs. Thank you very much, Beelzebub. We had a lot going against us this time. I'm using a foreign kitchen in a foreign country, and it's very difficult sometimes to step out of your comfort zone, but you have to do it. Change is inevitable, and if you try to fight it, you're gonna die. So this worked, and I want to thank everybody for their patience. Sparks586, thanks, and for your subscriptions and everything. We did it. We had a Mount Everest to climb, and we ended up with, I'd say, basically a product, the Canadian butter tart, authentic, which maybe it doesn't look as pretty as the professional, but it certainly is the exact same thing. But as somebody pointed out, the professional ones a lot of times use trick photography to get it to look so perfect. But I'm going to say this was a success, and the real test will be in a little bit. I'm going to be going down the neighborhood and passing these out to some of the Canadian kids on the block and see what they think. Chicken Water, subscribe. Thank you very much. So anyway, we did it, and I want to thank everybody sincerely. And my first Thursday night stream is going to be August 11th, and we've got some games lined up, and that's going to be I haven't decided the time, but I'll announce it on my Wednesday stream. And again, I couldn't be more appreciative to everybody who's been supporting and for watching. And I'll be back in my own kitchen on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time to cook up something maybe a little more home-based. So I'll look for your recipe suggestions on the Discord, and just overall want to thank everybody very much. And I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. And we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. So, thanks everyone.